to the Other Show podcast.
Wow. Another one of these in the bag, Julia. How exciting.
It is pretty exciting, Ross, yeah.
It's been going so well. We've had some fantastic guests and long may it continue.
Yeah. My name is Giulia Galastro. What's your name?
My name is Ross Foley.
Hey, Ross Foley.
I am 31 years old, 31 years old, 6'3", and 200 million pounds. My showbiz weight's 200 pounds. And yours?
My weight?
Showbiz weight.
My showbiz weight, 1,000 pounds. I don't get out of bed for less than that.
Very nice, like Oblomov, our classic character from literature, who is so funny. Julia, how's your week been? That's the question I always love to ask.
My week has been all right, kind of busy. Yeah. How's your week been, Ross?
It's been exciting. It's been an exciting week. Anyone who knows anything about comedy, particularly in the UK and Europe and even the world, will know that the Edinburgh Fringe is coming up.
It's just around the corner, isn't it?
It's just around the corner. At the time of recording, it's less than 50 days away, maybe even less than 10. I haven't done the calculations on that. I can't wait. I like to think of the Fringe as everybody's birthday who does comedy or enjoys comedy.
Ooh, yeah.
So it's my birthday, and it's my birthday every day for 30 days. It's bliss. I can't, there's no other word for it. It's bliss.
Yeah.
Julia, are you doing anything this year's Edinburgh Fringe Festival?
I'm doing lots of little bits and bobs, and I'm doing one of the other shows I run, other than the other show, another other show, you might say. It's called Open Comedy, and we are going to do a spot at the Fringe on the 15th of August at Hive at Monkey Barrel. So that should be a fun time.
People should get tickets.
7:35. Yeah, get your tickets.
That's a good time. That's a funny time. Most shows are either on the half or the quarter to or the 00, and yours is on the 25 to, which is kind of a hint at the kind of show it is, if I may be so bold as to say that.
I think so, yeah.
A little bit askance, isn't it? A little bit quirky.
A bit askew.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's exciting. Doing anything else?
I'm doing loads of spots. I'm doing Funny Filthy Females, the old FFF.
Fantastic. Yep, Triple F. Yep.
Triple F, Midnight Cabaret, ACMS.
Terrific. What a dates.
Yeah. How about you, Ross? So at the time of the last recording of the podcast, were you still on the 7 gigs?
Still on 7. I'd done 7 gigs. I'd done 7 open mics.
7 open mics.
At various gift shops. 2 of them in actual comedy clubs. Those were very exciting, but did not go well. And I'm looking for this Fringe to get into at least double figures.
Whoa.
Maybe even go for the triple.
Yeah. I've
not told you about this yet, Julia, but this year I am so excited to be bringing my own show to the Edinburgh Fringe, and it's going to be a winner. I can already tell you it's going to be a winner. So far, no tickets sold, but it's just waiting to go over the crest of that hill in the sense of a truck. You push the truck all the way up the hill, and then it rolls down 100 mile an hour. Now, how do I tell you about my show? Well, let me ask you this. What's the biggest untapped market in comedy?
Dogs.
No, like a realist. Like, what's the biggest people?
Like
market,
the biggest
people. Well, actually, the smallest people.
Is it children?
It's more than children. It's babies.
It's babies. Okay.
Now, this is very. You know me, Julie. You know I'm a business nut, and I've been reading the Harvard Business Review for over 100 years, 100 issues, mostly for the horoscopes, but also for some of the business content. And according to projections, as many as 40% of the people alive right now is babies.
Whoa.
And yet, you go on the Fringe brochure, the Fringe website, even www.fringe.com, and there isn't a single show that's specifically targeted to babies. So I'm scratching my head here and I'm going, well, if every baby has a pound, a British pound, and I get my room is crash really, but comedy room is 30 people, 30 babies, 30 times 1 equals 30, 30 days times 30, that's at least £900.
Yeah.
Which is more money than most people have ever seen. And certainly more than most comedians have ever seen. So I'm thinking this is a huge opportunity for me to do a baby show at the Fringe. And so that's why I'm very excited to bring Potty Mouth to this year's Edinburgh Fringe. And please do look up and buy tickets for Potty Mouth. After I'd named it Potty Mouth, it occurred to me that some people might think, does he mean his mouth as a potty? Which is disgusting.
Foul.
That's a horrible idea. And it's not that. I want to be very clear at the top. It's not that. And at the start of the show, I actually talk about how that's not what the show is about. It's because I swear a lot.
At the babies.
Well, they don't have any language ability. It's mostly noises and colours that they understand. So there's elements of that. But most of it is kind of my political shit and also swearing. But the babies love it. I think they will. I've not tested it yet. I have a feeling the babies will love it.
Yeah.
The good thing is babies aren't going to demand refunds. So
That's true.
I think it's a really great opportunity. And I'm also doing my, Ryan Rice from the comedy scene.
I don't know Ryan Rice.
He used to be the second tallest guy in the stand-up circuit.
Okay.
He's from Dundee.
Okay.
Well, me and Ryan Rice are doing a split bill, and that's called Rice Rice Babies, and it's going to be about my baby show for 30 minutes, and it's his show, which is mostly about his ex-wife.
Wow.
So I'm really excited. And that's that's not actually in Edinburgh as such. That's just in a little town in Fife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just over the water.
Yeah,
In
just
the
over the water in
Kingdom of Fife.
The Kingdom of Fife. It's in a miners' club in Fife. So check that out. It's not technically part of the Edinburgh Fringe, Rice Rice Babies, but it is going to be a good show, and I'm very excited to do it. And then my main show, Potty Mouth, that's going to be under a bridge. So bring your babies to under that bridge and see my show. It's £1.
My goodness. Are either of these sort of warming up for the show you told us about on the last episode?
My McFunnies on the Mother Road show. Yeah, no, that is going to be probably next year. I'm going to be looking at taking my show out on the Mother Road, which is Route 66. Starts in Chicago, goes all the way to California, and I'll be doing a comedy show at every McDonald's along the way. So keep your eyes peeled for that. That will probably be, some people are thinking that will be the biggest ever comedy event ever. So that would be something.
That would be something.
Looking to overtake Billy Crystal at Madison Square Gardens. That's currently standing in top spot. He is the unchallenged heavyweight of the world champion, Mike Tyson, of comedy. But I am going to be the plucky upstart that knocks Crystal off of his perch. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for McFunnies on the Mother Road. But in the short term, come and see my show for babies, Potty Mouth.
Yeah. Are you going to be, what kind of comedy is it you'll be doing for these babies? Is it any characters?
No, I've never have I ever tried character comedy because I feel like my own personality is so strong that I don't need to play around with that shit. I do a lot of stuff where I'll do voices, but that's more about making fun of people I've known and I've met. But I don't know if that's technically character comedy. Like I'll be like, the other day I was at Boots and I said to this girl, give me all the tissues that you have, and she'll hand me like 6, and I'll be like, that's not enough, and I'll do her voice going back to you, being like, that's as many as you're getting. Is that a character? Is that character comedy? It's an interesting question, I guess.
It is an interesting question, and maybe one we could put to our very special guest. We are very lucky to have on the podcast today Emer McGinnity. Welcome to the podcast, Emer.
Welcome. We don't do applause, but we would if we did.
We would if we did, yeah.
I'm doing a silent applause for myself. Hi guys, it's me, Emer.
Hi, Emer.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice
In
to
this
meet you guys.
context?
Yeah.
In this, would you not like to meet Emer in another context?
Well, no, I've met Emer before, but I
true.
like to say nice to meet you in the podcast when someone hasn't been a guest before.
That's true.
It's good to acknowledge the fourth wall for the audience so that they feel that this is a fresh social dynamic.
Absolutely.
We're all at a cocktail party.
Yes.
Tinkle, tinkle. I have an espresso. Sorry, I always get those mixed up.
A Nespresso martini.
I have an espresso martini, just like my hero, George Clooney.
Uppers and downers, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's how you stay on the level, which is what you want at a cocktail party.
Yeah.
Emer, thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself in 400 words or less?
I will struggle to do this. There's so much to say. I'm from Ireland. When I like to come to Scotland to play my gigs, sometimes people have problems pronouncing my name. So I always say it's Emer rhymes with lemur and McGinnity rhymes with virginity. And people love that.
Yeah.
It really gets people on side.
Yeah.
Most people in the club have not got their virginity anymore. So it's kind of like makes me relatable straight away.
Yeah.
That's going to be so different for me. Sorry to butt in with me again, because I'll be playing at babies. So most of them, all of them, God willing, will have their...
God willing.
I don't want to go into it, but you know what I mean.
I'm so glad that you just dropped that anvil into proceedings. So now I'm actually really relaxed.
But you know, everyone who's ever laughed at a joke was a baby at some point.
That's
and
true.
you can extend that logic through to whatever you wish.
Yeah.
But let's not dwell on that. Emer, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We're here, you're here because you're an expert in character comedy, which
That's
I know
true.
nothing about.
Yeah.
Julia, as you know, is a professor of comedy. She maybe know a little bit about it.
I'm a professor of comedy. This has been established at Cambridge University. So
A Cambridge University, yes, not necessarily the one that most people would think of, but
it's
Cambridge
not the one
University.
you think. Yeah. So I know a little something about character comedy, but not so much the praxis. And that's why we've got Emer on the show. You're really down in the trenches, Emer. Doing the characters. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you got into comedy in the first place.
I got into comedy, so I think last year I was quite sad. Don't know if you guys have ever felt that emotion.
Yeah.
Ross is shaking his head.
Never has been one that I felt, no. I felt slow. There's been days when I've been a running race and I felt very slow.
Yeah, well, sadness can be really humbling, so I hope that you catch a bite of it at some point.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Not sure how humbleness would help with the whole comedy jag, but I'll keep my eyes out for it. Sorry, go on.
So I watched this French series about a motley crew in Paris, and I really just did feel sad to the extent that I wanted to project myself into another reality, and then here we are, more than 1 year later, and here living the life.
To clarify, was it the band Motley Crue or the 80s glam rock band, or was it a general Motley Crue?
No, it was just kind of a diversity-minded casting of the TV program, but it didn't feel gratuitous, which is great when that happens.
Yeah.
And also I think I was spurred on because there was someone that I was giving some of my kisses to at the time who, unbeknownst to me, was stealing my jokes.
Oh,
and
the worst.
That made me kind of give myself a kick in the bottom and just say, do you know what, Emer? Do you know what, Emer?
Yeah.
Your jokes, your time, your stage.
Yeah.
Quite right.
Yeah, that made me mad. No more kisses for you. Sorry.
Not surprised.
Has that ever happened to you, Julia? Have you ever been a victim of joke thievery?
Not knowingly. No.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I did once come up with a character called Areola Beards. And then someone else came up with a character called Areola Warrior Breast.
Because there's always that thing of like, lateral thinking, parallel thinking, we all live in the world, but I think that's a little bit too on the nose.
I think so.
Like Dennis Menace.
Yeah.
Do you know the story of Dennis Menace?
No.
At the same time, same year, individually on either side of the Atlantic, the British Dennis Menace and the US Dennis Menace were independently invented, allegedly. Isn't that an extraordinary event? It's maybe the most interesting thing that's ever happened in humanity's history, I would say. And so now we've got two separate Dennis Menaces, but they both got a naughty neighbour, they both got a dog, they both got a slingshot. So you explain that to me. I mean, I think Carl Jung was probably right. That's the only explanation. Collective unconscious.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, well, we always like to talk about Carl Jung. We spend usually the 30 middle minutes of the podcast talking about the Red Book, favourite dreams.
Great.
Julie, would you like to kick us off with one of your favourite of Carl Jung's dreams?
Sure. The one where he has to sit an exam and he's all naked. That's my favourite one of his dreams.
Yeah, that one's really funny. In a way, dreams are like character comedy. Maybe that's an interesting thought.
I think it was a true and a well put thought.
Thank you so much. No one's ever complimented me on this podcast before, or really that much in wider life, so that actually does make me feel less than humble, or the opposite of humble. It makes me feel bold.
But I suppose the more secure your sense of self is, the more you can take a risk, be vulnerable. Let something penetrate to that soft interior, you know?
I've never thought of it that way before, but I will now think about that quite a bit.
That's good.
That's beautiful.
Character comedy must have started somewhere, Julia. And what we usually do is we usually have you, being the boffin in the room, walk us through. It's kind of a boffin's corner, much like Susie from Countdown, or no other examples, Your Honour.
Carol Voderman.
Well, she was the maths corner.
She has a lovely bum, doesn't she?
She's got a cracking ass.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to talk about that
Yeah, I was
anymore.
literally just going to say, if you'd like a serving of silence.
Yes, I would. Please like to plead the
Double
fifth on this one.
Sorry, lowering the tone.
No, that's all right.
But one of you should make a joke about two from the top and two from the bottom. I just think that would be impolite, not to.
You could bounce a coin off it, right? Sorry. 50 of the Queen's pence. Sorry.
Yes, Julia, please tell us about history.
That leads us, Carol Vorderman's ass leads us perfectly into a little section we like to call the history of comedy. And there's a theme song that sometimes goes here. So let's just imagine that is played. The history of comedy. Character comedy, as we've covered extensively on previous podcasts, a lot of the comedy stuff goes all the way back to ancient Greece and Rome. Menander and the new comedy, he started doing more of a look at characters than Aristophanes and his crowd. And then, of course, we have the Commedia dell'arte, which is all about characters, stock characters. But I thought for this episode, since we touched on those subjects before, we might delve into the world of the Victorian Music Hall. Ross, do you know anything about the Victorian Music Hall?
No.
Okay. Emer, how about you? Have you got any background in music hall?
No, I am proudly waving a flag of ignorance.
Yeah, well, very, very popular genre of entertainment in the 19th century. Did you know, Ross, that by the mid-1850s, there were over 375 music halls in London alone?
Well, I knew when you started that sentence, whatever the end was, the answer to "do you know" was going to be no. But why was there so many, and where have they all gone?
Where have they all gone? Well, some of them remain. You can a few of them you can like get married in like a quirky old music hall.
Right, but they're not doing the comedy anymore.
No, although actually the Panopticon in Glasgow, I think, used to be a music hall, and it still does some comedy stuff.
Okay, so there's vestiges of it kicking around.
Vestiges.
In its heyday, the 1850s, what would it have looked like and sounded like? And could you give us an example of a joke from that?
It would have been absolutely packed. These were places with kind of 1,500 seats, completely rammed, standing room only in the stalls, gallery as well. People would have been snacking. There would have been snacks on offer.
What would they have been snacking on? These days, you go into a comedy club and everyone's eating frubs. But they wouldn't have had frubs back then, would they, Julia?
Certainly not. No frubs. No frubs available. I don't think there was refrigeration. So
just fish heads straight out the Thames.
Oysters, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Nuts. I confess that's out with my area of expertise. Which snacks were on offer?
Okay, but let's get to the jokes.
Let's get to the jokes.
Yeah.
So there were huge celebrities of the music halls. There were Marie Lloyd, of course, with her signature parasol, and Dan Leno, who was known as the funniest man in the world.
Jay Leno.
Perhaps an ancestor of Jay Leno.
That would make sense if that was in the genes, because he is very funny.
Sure, yeah.
And he's got so many cars, which is the reason why I want to do comedy is to get more cars, basically. Yeah.
How many cars have you got currently, Ross?
None. So
okay. So any more cars would be more cars.
He's got Lamborghini, he's got Ferrari, he's got basically all the main types. He's got Ford Focus, and he's got great sense of humor as well. So sorry, you were talking about Dan Leno.
I was talking about Dan Leno. So Dan Leno, born in 1860. Was on the stage from a very young age, initially as a clog dancer, and he actually won a clog dancing championship.
They had those back then?
They sure did, yep, clog dancing. It's been around for longer than you think. But he graduated from he laid aside his clogs and started doing characters, including some songs, but depictions of working class people, such as his famous The Waiter. He'd arrive on the stage dressed in an oversized jacket, And would you like to hear an excerpt of
more than anything?
Okay,
I certainly would.
Okay, so I believe this would have been done in a broad Cockney accent. So,
so you may, if you wish, do it.
I'll give that a go. This is Dan Leno's The Waiter. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. When I first came here, these trousers were knee breeches, legs worn down by waiting. Sir, what did you say? How long would your steak be? Oh, about 4 inches, I should say. About 4 inches. No, sir. Sorry, sir. Can't take it back, sir. You've stuck your fork in it and let the steam out.
Ah. So, one of the problems we've had traditionally on this podcast, Julia, has been you've talked about Greek comedy, you've talked about Roman comedy, and not a laugh in the house. The Greeks did not write a single good joke. The Romans did not write a single good joke. We're getting closer, but we're not quite there, are we?
I thought that was. What did you think, Emer?
I thought it was great, and I noticed the fly that's been buzzing about the room was like going in concentric circles closer to the microphone because the fly was like, "I gotta get me a piece of this action, this comedy action."
Wow, I didn't even notice the fly changed.
I didn't even
its
notice the
behavior.
fly, but maybe the fly was anticipating that other classic waiter joke about a fly.
Right?
The fly. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, what a good callback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was interesting, that waiter segment.
Yeah, the waiter. He also had other characters. The detective, my old man, chimney on fire.
My old man must have been a riot. That must have been fun.
The Jap. A song called "All Through a Little Piece of Bacon." And the Railway Guard, one of his most famous characters.
So he would go up.
He'd go up.
I suppose the key thing here is he didn't do any of these jobs.
He didn't.
A traditional comic, maybe if they were a railway guard, would go up and say, "Oh, I've just had the hardest day at the railway. I was guarding this train and it got away." That's observational comedy. What he does is pretend to be what he isn't in a voice, and that's character comedy. Is that a fair summation?
I think that is a fair summation. Yeah.
Emer, you're the expert. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, I was not conscious of being a deadpan comic until many people described me as such. And then I was like, is this a character? Is this a persona? And I think it's an interesting one because I think everyone's playing a character, some kind of projection of themselves on stage anyway, regardless of what kind of thing they're doing. But yeah, I think like distance from the character is good. But for me, it's always like, what's something that is very sensitive and vulnerable, e.g. shoplifting, that actually is kind of reviled by a lot of people, wrongly so, I think. But yeah, for me, character is like, identify something that is really truthful and vulnerable that you think is important to talk about, but would maybe be too raw. People don't want to raw dog that kind of stuff. They don't want you to frack your innermost life and just give them the unrefined oil, you know? You gotta put it through a prism, filter it out, make it exaggerated in some way, and then it can be fun for everyone. And it can be more truthful for me than doing like my current stand-up persona, which I think I'm doing now because I don't hear any inflection in my voice.
The shoplifting. So if you, for listeners who weren't at the last other show, firstly, what are you doing with your life? And secondly, you will have missed Emer's character, John Burglar. Which I loved so much. Do you want to tell us a bit about John Burglar, Emer?
Yeah, so John Burglar, Ways of Stealing is kind of a borrowed from John Berger, Ways of Seeing, which is a book that I stole last week and was just like, do you know what? This is it. Yeah. This is what it's going to be. Yeah. I really like doing boy characters. My first boy character was Harry Styles. It's more of an impression, but yeah, and I just picked it up, flicked through the book, read like maybe half a page. I was like, okay, I've got it.
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah. And like John Burglar is kind of defensive. He's vulnerable. He maybe, you know, that Gabor Mate thing where he's working with people who are like, not narcoleptic. What's the word? Not, kleptomaniac. And it's all about like the symbology of it and stuff. So John Burglar is like underneath it all, he's a hurt guy.
Yeah.
And he's had things taken from him. And I think it's through that the kind of over the topness comes along. But I also do think, if you guys haven't gotten into shoplifting yet, it's a thrill and a kick. And I just think you should all do it.
You ever shoplifted anything, Ross?
Well, it depends how you define it. One time my day pass at Disney Euro had already ended, and I stuck around for an extra 40 minutes. So that was technically stealing time from Mickey Mouse. Does that count?
No, it doesn't count, and I'd like to accept the award for biggest wet blanket.
I don't think I accept.
Ever heard in my life.
I feel like if you actually account for the time, then my Mickey thievery was actually a hell of a lot more badass than you stealing a book. Because what's more a book's worth now? £10, maybe most.
Yeah, that's
40
true.
minutes at Disneyland is at least £100 the way that I do it anyway.
The way you do it.
Well, because it's not just the time; it's what you're buying in there. So you're buying a lot of T-shirts that say Mickey Mouse on them, or you're buying Donald Duck T-shirt again, more T-shirts, or you're buying hot dogs that have Minnie's face printed in them.
Yeah.
So for me, the hourly rate of being at Disneyland Europe or even international Disney would be at least £400.
Whoa.
I
So
think
40 minutes is, well, you do the maths.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that you put a financial value on your time is something that I
Only way to
applaud
do
you
it.
for as a man and as a comedian.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's the only way to value your time, I feel.
Financially.
Yeah, because people talk about it's about building up memories, but I don't have those.
You don't have memories.
No. Tabula rasa, I have a blank slate up there,
Oh,
but I
God.
can sense things as they happen in real
Just
time.
so happy that you just said Tabula Rasa.
Thank you.
The first time I took my partner to Dundalk, which is where I'm from, big up. They're not from Dundalk, they're from big city Dublin. And we went into like my favourite main old man pub and said, listen, Sinead, if you're ordering 2 pints of Guinness, you have to say 2 Tabula Rasas. He's not going to understand you unless you say that. And it was honestly one of the best moments of my life. Really special. So thank you for saying that.
Happy to tee that up. It's a beautiful memory. Not that I would know.
What happened? What did the man say behind the bar?
He just made eye contact with me, and through the medium of our eye contact was like, is this someone who's not from here, who maybe hasn't been here before? And I kind of did a series of like blinks, winks, eyebrow raises, grimaces.
Twitches.
Yeah. And we got the Guinness straight pour, which is how the tough dogs drink it.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 2 parts is just, that's a myth.
It's for
2
sissies.
tabula rasas, please.
Yeah.
I had a similar thing yesterday to allow a rare peek behind my curtain. My girlfriend and I going away on holiday, and she was buying Skechers from the Skechers store. I always wear Skechers. They're the best shoe. They're actually very comfortable.
My God.
And I'm wearing them right now, and I'd like to talk about Skechers anytime I can. But she was about to buy some shoes, and I told her that you had to try them on. You're not allowed to buy shoes unless you try them on first. And she did go up to the counter and say, do I have to try these on before I buy them? And that was a beautiful moment of pranksterdom.
Are you guys like pro pranks?
I would love to be. At the moment, I'm just a keen amateur.
I like the idea of them, but I think I'm naturally quite meek and obedient, and I think that's kind of sits uneasily with the persona of the prankster.
Yeah.
But I'd like to discover more of my inner prankster.
What do you think that prankster character would be called?
Fun Julia.
Oh,
Pass it over. Pass your award over.
yeah, happy to. I feel like maybe our old friend Diogenes would maybe be your kind of prankster.
Maybe.
You know,
yeah.
that kind of classic gadfly type, whereas I'm more of an Ashton Kutcher kind of guy.
Oh, that's Socrates. Diogenes was the guy in the barrel.
Well, no, a gadfly is a descriptive term. You could apply it to anyone. It's true that Socrates was also called a gadfly, but you look at Diogenes, I guarantee someone's calling him a gadfly on the Wikipedia.
Maybe. I think I was possibly already going to steal your wet blanket award, because the only thing I have ever shoplifted was by accident. When I was 5 years old, I was looking around a stationery shop, and I found a lovely pencil sharpener, and I kind of absentmindedly put it in my pocket and then walked out of the shop.
That's
and
so
then
beautiful.
I felt guilty about that ever since.
Did you use it?
I think so, but with a heavy heart.
That's
Yeah.
good.
But a light pencil. What type was it? Did it have a fun design on it? Was it Robot Wars or was it anything cool?
I think it was probably Hello Kitty.
Oh, not worth it.
Yeah. Well,
If
it
it
was in
was-
Japan, so there was a lot of Hello Kitty stuff going on
They
there.
still have Robot Wars over there. So.
That's
Anyway.
so cool.
Thanks.
If it was Matilda from Robot Wars, then I'd have understood. But as it is, I think you should go to jail. Just doing something inferior. Character comedy. That's the topic today. How the hell do you do it? We all know
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse, but name another great character. That's 2 questions.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, the
Great
character.
character.
You talking about the SNL depiction of Joe Biden, or are you talking about the actual real life man?
The puppet that is currently serving as his
Whoa.
president. No,
Well, yeah, you're a big Trump person, is that right?
listen. No, I'm really not. I'm not at all.
We're on DeSantis.
Yeah.
Okay, fair
I'll
enough.
say, I actually don't have any knowledge about this topic. I don't read the news, so I don't know why I'm going to drop the shovel now.
Okay, fair enough. Joe Biden, definitely one of the classic comedy characters, but he's more kind of physical comedy because he fell off that plane, and that's like your classic Chevy Chase pratfall, I think. Which Chevy Chase used to do that about another president, Mr. Ford, or President Ford, I should say. Be respectful. So it all come full circle, and that is what comedy is all about. Circles within circles. Julia, you
Yes,
sometimes do character comedies.
That
I've
is
seen
true. That is true. I've got a couple of characters that I have done, although not for a little while. I have an 18th century gentleman called Lord Harrington and a little Victorian ghost child called Little Mo. Those are my 2 current main characters. Yep.
Do they interact with each other in your head? Are they from the same universe?
So part of the reason I haven't done them as much recently is I would like to find a way of incorporating different characters into a larger piece, and I haven't quite found a way to kind of transition between them. So maybe I should imagine them interacting more.
When you like find a character or meet a character, how do you like get it to talk more?
Oh, they both just kind of came fully formed into my head.
That's so cool.
Yeah. How about you, Eva? How do you come up with your characters?
Let me think now. So I have this character that I'm working on called Jacqueline Désolé Pas Désolé. And I just like doing, my sister lives in France and we just speak English and French accents to each other sometimes because we are that bitch, you know? And then when I was in a charity shop, I got a little onion teddy and I just picked it up and it felt like I was picking up a baby, and the teddy in its head said to me in my head, like, Jacqueline Désolé Pas Désolé.
Whoa. Wow. So, onions. Pick up an onion and it might have a character inside of it.
If it's a teddy, yeah. But actually, funnily enough, a couple of weeks later went to a Fern Brady book reading and I was very excited. And it was in like an old church. This was in Belfast. And there was a question and answer session. And I was just like, Fern, can I give you a teddy? And she was obviously very spooked because that's a spooky thing, especially from the back of a church when you've just read some of your book. And you know, security wasn't tight. So I see now why she was a little bit spooked. And I proceeded up literally up the fucking aisle and like left it on her feet on the altar. Whoa. And it was really not cool of me at all. And embarrassing actually. And then that night I was like, what was I doing? Giving away my actual child. And then guess what?
What?
Last week,
Yeah.
went back to the same charity shop. The same onion teddy.
Oh,
I'm not even joking.
Oh my gosh.
wow.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it's nice that she gave it back to a charity shop. I would have just punted it. I would have punted it out the top of the roof of a hotel and just kicked it in the Liffey. Oh, no, you're in Belfast, not Dublin.
I'm so happy that you even know the word Liffey, though. That makes
Oh,
me
I've been in the
happy.
Liffey many of times.
You've been
yeah,
in the Liffey?
Yeah. It's actually one of the best rivers to swim in Central Europe.
Really?
No. No, the Thames is the best river to swim in. I'd love to dunk my head in there and just swim about. It's a beautiful river. And you know it's healthy because it's sort of brown and silty. Look, if a whale went up it a couple of years ago, a whale wouldn't go up if it wasn't clean water. That's airtight logic, believe me. Could I do a character that was a whale? Or could you not do animal characters? What are the rules?
I would say yeah, do a whale, but I would say do it with a paddling pool. which I shoplifted a paddling pool last week, and I'm pretty sure I have it with me. So if you want to try that out.
That must be one of the harder things to shoplift.
Not really. See, all you need is a brazen attitude.
Yeah.
And also, like, I have to acknowledge, if I wasn't like, I'm gesturing at my face for the listeners, like very obviously middle class. There's something so middle class about my face. So like, you didn't want to say it.
No.
You're so polite.
I'm middle class too.
God, I feel so seen. There's 2 blue ticks. I'm so seen. But yeah, like obviously haha jokes, but also I know like there is a massive privilege with getting away with the amount of shoplifting that I can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, paddling pool is available for rent.
Oh, you're stealing stuff and then renting it out.
How do you think I have this rock star lifestyle?
That's wild. Yeah. What are your rates? Because I feel like I would want to have a paddling pool if I was going to do a whale character for sure.
I think if I see it and I think it has promise, I would be happy to sponsor you with it.
Interesting. Okay.
And we could have like a mentor-mentee kind of relationship. But
Fantastic.
if I think it's bilge, I will be charging you, I'd say about £20 per minute.
If you think he's spouting nonsense.
Well, we're going to do puns in a future episode, so please don't do puns on this episode.
Sorry.
But if you can come up with a character to tell that joke in, then that will be acceptable.
Maybe Julia's character only speaks in puns.
Whoa. Yeah. That could work.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, well, last time we did an episode of this, we had Amelia Baylor on, very funny, fantastic musical comedian. And she helped me to write a song about drinking a lot of liquid at TGI Fridays.
That's cool.
And that's kind of a comedy workshop.
That's cool.
So I feel like maybe, we're talking about the whale character. Can you help me workshop it? And then we can decide if it's bilge or if it is actually extremely valuable.
My first question is, what is the emotional truth behind this character?
It's a whale. Would that count as emotion, or is that just biological fact?
Do you think that counts as an emotion?
I don't know. I don't have the language for this kind of stuff.
What do you feel when you think about this whale character?
Great greed for fish. Extreme greed. Yeah.
Just a guzzling fish head.
Yeah, just a big guzzling fish head. If we did a roast episode, then that could be a roast that would be levied at this whale character, certainly. But yeah, it's a whale, and maybe it has a funny hat. Would that count?
I think having a funny hat is definitely an emotion.
Good.
It would have to be a massive hat, and it would probably be quite a challenge to keep it on your head as you were swimming around.
Well, I'll still be me-sized, I think, for this. I don't think I intend to scale up. Not even sure how I would do that. Maybe with a fantastic paper mache costume or some such. But for me, for now, it's just going to be me. I'll maybe paint myself grey if that helps.
I think that sounds great. I think if I may make a suggestion,
please, you're the master.
Just some field research. There's a very esoteric, kind of very little known text that might be fruitful. It's called Moby Dick.
Moby Dick, yeah, big film.
So I would say maybe Call Me Ishmael. Check it out.
Yeah, I've read Moby Dick.
Have you actually?
Yes, I actually have.
That's class.
Yeah, have you?
Yes, I have. It was very confusing. I was reading it in German. I don't speak German, and I did give up. But I like the front cover.
Do you mean to say the cunt frubber?
It sounded like you were going to say the cunt frubber.
I believe cunt is German for whale, or at least in the edition I had. I loved it. I thought it was a very good book, but I didn't understand a word of it.
Yeah, I guess it could be a feminist retelling called Moby Cunt.
And see, we're Fringe Show 2024 in the bank already. Yeah, I love whale novels. Old Man in the Sea, The Sea Wolf.
The Sea Wolf? What's The Sea Wolf?
Sea Wolf is a novel by Joseph Conrad about a gentleman who gets shipwrecked off the coast of San Francisco and is press ganged into joining a whaling ship that goes to the coast of Japan under a demonic and overbearing Scandinavian captain named Wolf Larsen. It's a wonderful novel, and it frightened me deeply. Fantastic, though. Fantastic to read novels about whales.
Yeah.
This is like a horror character. I love it.
This is just me. I'm talking about my favorite books, but
I guess you could channel that truth into your whale character, perhaps.
Yes. So,
and it being German, like there's something there about it being the meaning being impenetrable.
Yes.
Could it be a German whale?
German whale. Well, I know a little bit about German because when I was 18, a lot of my friends were going on these inter-island trips. And I thought, oh, well, to me, a train is a poor man's bus. So I booked myself on this trip with a sort of bus tour around Europe. And it was, every other guest was a German retiree. And people would think that was a mistake. But I went down the beautiful blue Danube with a bunch of new German friends. And I learned so much on that trip. I learned how to French kiss. And I learned the German word for bus. So it was a tremendous holiday. And I'll never forget it.
Pre-Brexit, you know?
Oh, this is many years ago. I was
were
18.
good.
Yeah, so we were relations were fantastic at the time. Merkel was just coming into power. Brown was on the way out, and the bus was air conditioned. So it was a great holiday for me.
Who was the French kiss with? Was it a German retiree?
Oh,
No, they taught me how to do it with my hand. They were talking me
okay.
through it in English. They spoke English, so everyone learns to kiss with their hand. And continues to do so well into their 30s, I think. That's what the German retirees taught me. Yeah. Do you speak any German, Julia?
Ein bisschen.
Ah, that's German for no. No, just kidding. German for bus? Bus.
Bus. I didn't know that.
Would you like to workshop a character also, Julia? Maybe, since I'm doing my
I'd
whale.
love to. Yeah.
Maybe we could both.
Yes, please. Should I be another animal? What if I'm a little plankton?
Love that.
And then we can riff
Yes.
off each other. So
Okay.
I'm in a smaller paddling pool, perhaps. Just floating around, or a tank. I could have a.
How are we going to get you down there? A lot of your stuff seems to, a lot of scale stuff, a lot of shrinking up and shrinking down.
Yeah. Okay, maybe could be CGI'd.
Yeah, we could CGI you in.
Yeah,
Does that count? Is it character comedy if it's done with computers?
Yeah.
could
Okay,
be
great.
character generated images. I don't know what CGI stands for.
Oh my God. Will you make up what CGI stands for as well?
No, I will not do that. I refuse to make up terms about filmmaking because I take it too seriously.
What does CGI stand for then?
Computer generated imagery.
Oh, Mr. Facts here.
Oh yeah.
Here we go,
Okay.
Mr. Facts here to poop the party, you know?
Hey, there are worse things to be than Mr. Facts. So, no offense taken. Okay, so you're plankton.
Okay.
You started by asking me, Emer, what the core emotional truth of my whale character was. And the truth is that he's extremely greedy. What is the core emotional truth of your plankton, Julia?
Oh, I'm just floating around. I don't know where I'm going. I'm trying my best, but it's a big sea out there, and I'm worried. I'm worried.
Is there suppressed rage there as well?
I think there might be. I think you've hit the plankton on the head. I'm worried and I'm furious.
Oh, so it's like a funny mad character.
Yeah, but like a justified rage, like a righteous fury.
Okay. So like Herman Klump.
From
The Klumps.
have you seen the Klumps either?
No, is this
Neither
a
have
joke
I.
thing?
I haven't
No,
seen the
it's a
Klumps
film.
either.
I always bring up the Klumps in this podcast and no one's seen it, which makes me, boggles the mind.
Does it definitely exist?
Yeah, The Nutty Professor definitely exists.
Okay. I've heard of
The
the
Klumps is the sequel to The Nutty Professor.
Oh, okay.
And it bothers me that as a professor of comedy, you don't know that.
There are some gaps in my you know, I have my area of expertise, but the Klumps has not come across my desk.
Well, The Klumps is character comedy. And Eddie Murphy plays over 8 different characters in The Nutty Professor. So that is kind of comedy par excellence, which is French.
I think just because you said a French term doesn't mean that what you said was true or sophisticated.
Well, it worked for me when I was an undergraduate, so I'm not sure that is
Sorry,
true.
that was Jacqueline coming out right there.
Oh my God,
Absolutely.
Jacqueline!
Back in the room.
Yeah, talk to us more about Jacqueline. What's her deal?
Yeah, I think I know her less, but I think
She came from The Onion.
she came from The Onion, but I also think she came from, there was this Source Chalandon book called Return to Killybegs. So it was this French journalist that went over to Derry during the Troubles. And I haven't read the book because, you know, he has time to read books. But one of his big things was like his father, when he was growing up, said that he was like a resistance fighter and had this big heroism mythology around himself. And then when Sorge got older, sorry, I'm saying Sorge as if he's like my buddy, but
Yeah.
when Monsieur Chalanon got older, it came out that he was actually a collabo. He was collaborating, right? So then Chalanon moves to the north, and I can't remember the name of the dissident Republican who he befriends, but anyway, it turns out, so he's like a Republican or whatever. And then after he dies, they're like fucking buddies. They're like best pals. And then it comes out that he was actually a British informant the whole time.
Oh my
So it's
God.
this double betrayal trauma.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Jacqueline relates to this story yet. I don't know. But then she also is kind of a Jane Birkin-y, right? Kind of a like, I'm going to shove a cream pie in your face and then jump into the Seine and swallow a load of sludge.
Yes. Well, that's what Serge Gainsbourg liked.
The best way to a man's heart is through the sludge.
Ross, would you agree?
I've heard it said.
Yeah. So I don't know yet. She's definitely a bit airy fairy, but
There's river as well as air.
Whoa. This is mostly above my head, this episode. I feel like this is very collegiate. There's a real, you're very much in your element here, but I'm flailing here. I mean, I thought we could all get on board with the clumps thing, but it feels like I'm playing in the wrong paddling pool.
Have you come across any characters in the open mic scene during your 7 gigs, Ross?
Characters in the sense of people who will have 4 or 5 beers after the show. Yes, absolutely. Great characters. Characters in the sense of people who do funny voices and wear hats. Yes, I have. Someone I know does one character where it's Homer Simpson. So they've taken that and then they play that role. Does that count, or is that stealing? Although you encourage stealing, so that's a good thing.
I think when it's someone that's that level of iconic, like even what Phil O'Shea did last night, which moved me almost to tears. Like I really enjoyed. I was blown away. But he did like
Was he doing his Paul?
Yes.
Yes.
And like when it's so megalithic, it's so recognized by everyone.
Much like a whale.
Much like there you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you had any more?
White beetle.
Yeah. There's whale thoughts coming to the surface for you. I can't
stop thinking about whales. It's true.
There was actually a whale-based sketch on the other show as well. The last other show.
There's only 4 or 5 topics really to do comedy about. Wales is certainly one of them. France is definitely one of them. Your Victorian people. And then the other 2, and this actually leads us to our final topic today, which is our hot button issue, which is what is the funniest thing to talk about in comedy? Is it A, sex, or is it B, farts? Those are the 2 funniest things. Which is the funniest? Battle of the heavyweights. Emer, please answer.
I think to talk about in comedy, I think to talk about sex, I think to bring into the fold, like I have a fart machine. I think doing that with comedy, good. Talking about farts, no. But talking about sex, there's that's a very fertile ground.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Giulia, your take.
What about farting during sex? Would that be?
Yes, and that brings us back to Carl Vorderman, I believe.
That's kind of cheating, though. That's like if I
Okay.
said, do you prefer ham sandwich or egg and cress sandwich? And you said, oh, what if you had a ham and egg and cress sandwich?
Okay.
That's cheating.
Okay.
I guess at the 3rd level that the institution that Julia is from, it's called reframing the question.
Yes, a college in Cambridge.
In a Cambridge. Yep.
In a Cambridge, yeah. Well, as far as I'm concerned, most colleges in Cambridges are pretty good.
Yeah.
That's just
Most
just
of
a
them.
town that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a good name for Smarties. But, Smarties is delicious, by the way. So I highly recommend. The show isn't sponsored by Smarties, but please do check them out.
It's not. But if Smarties want to send us some free samples,
Absolutely, give us a call.
Do it.
We would love to do that. Julie and I talked about it at length. The dream sponsors of the show, number 1 would be Skechers, number 2 would be Smarties, number 3 would be different types of tires for your car, like Michelin.
which is ironic, I guess, given that neither of us have cars, but we just want to store up tires for the future.
Well, my dream is to have the perfect Tom Ford suit, but I can't do that because of restraints around my salary at the bowling alley. So I'm starting with my shoes, or and that's like buying the tire. You buy the tires first, and then you build to the car.
I thought you were
for shoes, and then you build to the suit.
I thought you were going to say that maybe you wanted to make the tires into shoes.
Oh, I don't have the skills to do that.
Okay.
But actually, now that I think about it, that would be the dream shoe material. And I'm no scientist, but maybe people could be running as fast as cars can go if they just had the wheel tire shoes on.
Yep.
If anyone knows the answer, please do write in. I forget where we were talking about.
Farts or sex?
Farts or
Farts is
sex.
sex, yeah. So
Yeah.
you would say both is the funniest.
I would say I think I'm with Emer. I think there's comedy on stage and then there's funny things that happen in real life. And I'd say that farts in real life are very funny. Like if you're in a toilet stall and someone in the stall next door to you just hear a little like that's brilliant. Ross, you look disgusted.
Yeah, I am. Sorry, but go on.
But I think comedy on stage, I agree that maybe I would find it funnier to hear about sex than about where can you go with the fart, really?
Okay. Good answer.
How do you feel, Ross?
Well, just based on personal experience, I have tried both. And in terms of audience reaction, like one time I went up and, not so much a joke, but I said, oops, sorry, I just farted. And people seemed mad. The people in the front row certainly seemed angry about it. And then other time I've gone up and I do my classic bit where I talk about how tired I get when I'm trying to have sex. And I've had a smattering of laughs at that in a couple of places. So I guess that wins, just objectively.
Yeah.
I've got my, it's a good bit, I think. My back hurts and my legs hurt and my penis hurts and I can't even do it.
Can you get a sore penis?
Absolutely.
Fuck, I didn't know that.
Of course you
that
can.
either. I didn't know that
It's
either.
probably the most painful bit of my body most of the time. And I think most men would agree. No, that's not true. I'm being fallacious. But you absolutely...
You up the boys.
Oh.
But you can, of course, get a sore penis and ask the NHS.
I knew like if you close the fridge door on it, it would get sore, but I just meant more like...
so sorry.
I meant from
ouch.
use, like...
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
can get like
Like
achy.
erosion.
Yeah.
Not erosion as such.
Like coastal.
Not like coastal erosion. No, not like the White Cliffs of Dover. But it can be like... like a cramp. You get a cramp in your toe.
Can you get a cramp in your willy?
Can you really?
Maybe not a cramp, unless you're like really cool, doing it non-stop. But for an average
Really
Joe
getting the
Buckthorn,
reps in.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I've never done enough bicep curls to get sore biceps. I wouldn't know, but I imagine it's like that. Most I've ever done is 3 bicep curls. But we're not here to talk about my journey to the perfect male body.
On the subject of farts in comedy, I did once. I host a gig in Leith Open Comedy, and I come on in between acts and say like, give it up again for the last person, and now the next person. That's kind of the main thing that I do. And once I came onto the stage after an act, and I think they had farted on the stage, and it was very smelly. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether I should acknowledge it because the next person was just about to come on. I was worried they might think that I'd done it.
The worst.
But I just had a split second decision to make, and I chickened out of making any comedy gold out of a smelly situation. So
Was the person's set good? Did they say anything egregious?
I'd say it was fine. It was fine. Yeah, it wasn't. They didn't metaphorically stink the place up.
Okay.
But they did literally do that.
Will you tell me after the show who it was?
I will. I don't think you'll know who they are, but I will. Yes.
I gotta take back some spurious gossip to the homelands,
Oh my God, did you hear that so-and-so farted?
Oh my God, did you know that
Crazy.
he has an asshole?
Yes,
Wow.
a stinky bumhole. Yeah. Just like, no. I will not besmirch the good name of Carol Vorderman.
No, never has she.
It wasn't like, just to clarify, it wasn't. Carol Vorderman has never performed on my open mic in Leith. It was not Carol.
More's the pity. Would she be your dream get, Vorderman?
I'd love, yeah, my goodness. If Carol, if you're listening, get in touch.
She is, but she's not going to get in touch. She doesn't know how to send messages on her phone. But speaking of favorite dream guests, maybe we should segue to our classic questions. We ask every guest the same set of questions, and we call this, first question is what we call Comedy Mount Rushmore, and this is a new concept that we've come up with on this show, and we're very proud of it. Are you familiar with Mount Rushmore, Emer?
Yes, I am. I heard about it on the podcast
Oh,
in the last
so
half an hour, and then I looked it up and was like, whoa.
Yeah, pretty extraordinary. But in this case, we're asking you to name your Comedy Mount Rushmore. So would you please do so?
And there's 4 people on Mount Rushmore?
4 presidents.
4 presidents.
In this case, it's going to be for people that you find to be amusing, funny, and fantastic.
I think my first one would be Maeve Higgins. I don't know if you guys have seen her, but I think probably my earliest memories of just being like comedy. And she's an Irish comedian, and I saw her first on this naked camera show called Naked Camera. It's a hidden camera show called Naked Camera. And it really blew my mind. And she's also just a sweetheart. Like when I was a little bit older, I emailed her and was like, it's my sister's birthday. Will you send her birthday message? And she like took a picture of herself holding a birthday sign.
Oh,
that is number one sweetheart behavior for
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And she lives in New York now, but there's a few of my friends who like Irish comics who've gone over, and she like meets people for coffee.
Oh my God.
She like talks to people, guys.
Yeah.
And she just seems great. So I think she deserves a spot for sure. I really am into Mr. Blobby. But I know that like, I don't know, I don't want to sound like a West Brit. I think probably Dustin the Turkey, even though I hate him, but I understand that he is like very firmly embedded in my subconscious. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him.
Dustin the Turkey.
So he's a puppet turkey, and he actually represented Ireland in the Eurovision a couple of years ago.
Wow.
And I think he's firmly in there because he used to do this thing called the flap flaps.
Yeah.
So he just get excited and flap his wings, and I used to do that a lot as a child, as an undiagnosed autistic child, and everyone would be like, oh, Emer's just like Dustin the Turkey. And now as an adult I'm like,
Yeah.
okay then.
Yeah.
When you said Dustin the Turkey, I thought that was like a phrase like gilding the lily or burying the lead. Like, I don't want to be Dustin the Turkey, but Mr. Blobby.
Do you think it means like I don't want to be too direct, or like what
I
do you
think in my interpretation it sort of meant the same thing as putting a hat on a hat. Like I don't want to be too obvious. I don't want to, But now I know it's a classic comedy character. So fantastic.
I kind of prefer your one, Dusting
the Turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that could be the name of this episode, perhaps.
Yeah.
And if we even name our episodes, I don't know. And the fourth and final, Rushmorean.
Yeah, I was trying to think about this, and all I could think about, I used to work with kids, and one of them was really good at giving friction. I know they used to be called.
Yeah.
The where you do like one part of the skin goes clockwise, the other part goes anti-clockwise. And he was just the funniest child that I ever worked with. And it was really tough because part of the program was like, don't encourage like super, super, super antisocial behavior. And I think in terms of being a little bit deadpan, that was excellent training, because he was like hysterically funny. I'm not going to say his name because of GDPR, but the Burning Child.
Fantastic.
The Burning Child, like the progenitor of the Burning Man, maybe. I've never.
It's like a festival 2 weeks earlier with a bit less drugs.
Yeah.
And just a little bit less electronic music.
Yeah.
Burning Child. If you can't quite handle your Mandy and your EDM, go to Burning Child. Yeah, they've just got weed and acid jazz. It's fine.
Yeah.
Those aren't very impressive or good, are they?
No, I love them. Is that 4? There's
Yeah, we got the turkey, we got the blobby.
Turkey.
Maeve.
Oh, Turkey and Blobby.
No,
Go
well,
ahead.
Oh, we're not doing blobby.
I think maybe not.
Okay.
Blobby go bye-bye.
Even though I love him.
Yeah.
Why did blobby not make the cut?
I have just like, I don't know, I'm just very self-conscious about picking something that's so like quintessentially English. I'm not like, and I love English people. Julia is my number 1 English person. Actually, number 4, Julia. There we go.
Fantastic.
And I'm not even English, but thank you.
sorry.
No,
Jesus.
it's fine. I understand how that's happened. But
I'm so sorry,
no,
Julia.
don't be. Don't be, Emma. It happens all the time.
I'll give you some spurious gossip to make it up to you. It's really vicious, and it's just really.
Well,
I have lived in Cambridge for a long time, so that's probably how I have this accent.
That's true.
that makes sense. Julia, do you want to ask the second of our third classic questions?
What is it?
The car one.
The car one.
If she was a car.
If you were a car, what kind of car would you be?
I think, you know, those, I think it'd be the Citroen CX, which is 1970s, and it has a phone in it.
Oh my God.
So it was like when they were starting to do like mod cons. So they
Yeah.
were like, let's make a car like a plane. So they have all these really unnecessary like things that seem like they'd be deluxe and comfortable in a car, but actually it's just going to make everything sticky and horrible. And I would
The
be.
phone was sticky.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So it was a question, if I was a car,
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
be that car.
Yeah.
I'd be
Okay,
that car.
fantastic. Great.
Love that. I'm going to look up that car.
Yeah. And the final question is just where can our listeners see/hear you do comedy in the near future?
I open comedy on Tuesday.
Yeah. Open Comedy Mango, all female, trans and non-binary.
That's Tuesday
the
might not
25th.
come out by then, but go back in time and see if you can.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything else that maybe is after the start of August?
I'm in Manchester in Blizzard on the 14th.
Nice.
And any Dublin listeners, which I will try and wrangle, the Batty Tower is on Saturday the 29th, but actually that'll probably be too late. But yeah, the Batty Tower just coming at you live, you know, from all over Ireland.
Fantastic.
Ooh.
Great. Brilliant.
that.
So yeah, we encourage everyone to go and see those.
And where can people find you online, Emma?
Emer McGinnity. EmerMcGinnity.
Great. Well, thank
Incredible.
you so much for coming on and explaining character comedy to us. I think I get it. I have to dress up as a whale, but I have to get really big to do it.
Massive.
Okay, fantastic. Great. Well,
Up
we'll
that
try that.
stage weight.
Look,
to
I'm trying. Believe
several
me.
tons.
Believe me. Well, I'll get a burger on the way home. Julia, anything else to say? Anything else to plug?
I don't. Well, we're gonna be doing another show during the Fringe as well. Stay tuned. Follow us at the _other_ show on Instagram to find details of that. It's going to be probably in the middle of August at Hive, most likely, with Monkey Barrel. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Emma, for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a delight.
Oh, thank you all for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye.